This latest episode of the Broadway Show is positively stacked without a second to spare. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get going. Oscar winner George Clooney making his Broadway debut this spring in Good Night and Good Luck. It's a stage adaptation of the film of the same name, but this time Clooney's playing Edward R. Murrow. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
This is Gallagher's. This is like a classic.
It's pretty great, isn't it?
Theater haunt.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost picture the characters.
Actually,
You think they were here? I mean, you think
probably
these
are
guys
in the corner over there. Yeah, this is a good hang right here. We might just stay here all afternoon.
At that time, would have been what? Filled with smoke.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been scotch.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing the play. We're trying to bring smoking back. That's our goal in life.
That's the whole point of the show,
that's our
right?
whole plan.
It sounds like you're going to be puffing a lot of herbal cigarettes. I mean, that's part of the gig, right?
It's brutal. I have actually had to practice smoking. Not great. That's part of your rehearsal.
That's part of your rehearsal.
It's going to be rough.
But even in your film, it's just constant.
We used pipe smoke then because it was really thick and it stayed in the air. So who knows what we're going to do now?
What about the smoking? Edward Murrow smoked like 3 packs a day, apparently.
Yeah.
A lot of herbal cigarettes backstage.
Yeah. A lot of herbal cigarettes because these people all smoked themselves to death. Yeah. And that's what it was, and it's a bunch of old white guys, and they all smoked and drank. You know what I mean? That's the reality. It is wrong to pretend. It is another kind of wrong to pretend this isn't what the world is like. We're making theatrical gestures to augment the amount of smoke. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're planning on having little foggers in the desks. You know what I mean? There's going to be theatrical haze hanging in the lamplight. Will give the impression of a lot more smoking than we might actually be doing.
I didn't expect you to come to Broadway. I'm excited.
Well, I
you're
didn't
here.
expect to come to Broadway. I kind of thought that ship sailed way back in the day. I'm very nervous about this.
Yeah?
Sure. I mean, it's late in life to be doing your Broadway debut. I've done a lot of live things.
Sure.
But this is a very different. There's also an anticipation of these kinds of speeches that Murrow gives. Mm. And so I've had to work on them since August because as you get older, it gets harder to memorize things.
We will not walk in fear one of another. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent.
20 years ago, almost to the day, you started filming this movie.
That's right.
It sounds like you've been living with the idea of doing this for a while.
We've been trying to make it into a play for a bit, and then it was harder and harder to figure out how. And then we kind of came up with an idea that was going back to what we originally done, because when we originally did this, it's kind of funny. When we originally were writing this, Good Night and Good Luck in 2004, we wrote it as a live TV show because we had done Failsafe as a live TV show.
Oh, right.
And then the Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, exposing thing came out, and CBS pulled the plug on us.
Wow.
And so I called up Grant and said, now we have to take out all the sort of the live elements and make it into a film. And so we changed it then. So the original draft of it was closer to a play.
Interesting. So you're actually just going back to
Kind of back to that stuff.
That's great.
Because, there's, in a film you can cut from one scene to another. Right. You can be in another room, and in a live production or in a play, you have to find a way to get them from one room to another. So it's a little bit of that.
David Strathairn was fantastic in the film.
Oh my God.
What is it like to sort of age into that role?
When Grant and I wrote it the first time, we did a table reading where I was going to play Murrow. And this is in 2004 maybe. And I was directing the film, and so there's this moment as a director, not as an actor, but as a director, where you go, I'm not right for the part. And it's a funny thing. It's hard to do. You have to be able to step back and look at it and go, wow, I'm not right for this. I was too young in a weird way.
Yeah.
And David came in, and because it was sort of an emergency, I was going to bail out. I was going to play Fred Friendly, and he was going to do Murrow. And I said, do you want to do it? And we came to New York and met with him. He said, sure. We'd never heard him do it. And then he showed up, and he had like a long gray beard and gray hair. And I was like, have we made a terrible mistake? And he shaved and jet black his hair, and he puts a cigarette in his mouth, and all of a sudden we were like, we did okay. I actually, in doing this part now, I'm trying to rip him off of the things he did. You know what I mean? Because he was that good. And so 20 years later, I get a crack at it.
It's funny that this originally was conceived as sort of a live experience featuring George Clooney as Edward R. Murrow. Ended up not being that, and now 20 years later, we're actually getting maybe much closer to the original line? Sometimes it takes a long time to get to the...
Yeah, well, that's, that's the creative process sometimes takes a lot of turns,
What's it been like sort of watching him go into the Murrow role, first of all, but also just preparing for this?
He has a lot of really long speeches. Really long speeches.
Yeah.
So he's literally just been like,
Studying
every day. It's like I'm this far and I'm working on it. But yeah, he's rightfully nervous. I'm nervous. I'm not even in it.
Do you like sort of telling something from a historic lens, but that has this sort of
Well, I think it's
urgency?
important because, what's the Mark Twain, doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yeah.
We are constantly having to wage this battle against, for truth, right? Truth is the hard part. It's certainly, we're certainly fighting for that again. Holding truth to power. It's not something that, we had to do it, again, we had to do it during Vietnam, we had to do it during the Civil Rights Movement, we had to do it during the Women's Rights Movement. We've had all of these moments in time where, Watergate, go down the list of times where truth mattered. So it's not something new to us now, but it is a battle that has to be waged. It's not going to just automatically happen, right? Part of democracy, the reason it's the First Amendment, the very First Amendment, is because our right to free speech and our battle for free speech is preeminent. It is the most important part. I think it's important to remember, though, that this wasn't and isn't designed to be a civics lesson. That's not what it is designed to be. It's an entertainment. That's why we go backwards and look. We're not here to preach to people about, we really thought this is a story about us at our best as Americans when we hold our own feet to the fire for our own actions as opposed to someone else. And I think that that's a beautiful story.
Another blockbuster Broadway opening to tell you about. Emmy winner Sarah Snook on Broadway this spring in The Picture of Dorian Gray. Snook taking on all 26 roles in Oscar Wilde's classic.
It's definitely an ensemble show. I am surrounded by the crew at almost at all times. There's a few very specific dramaturgical moments of silence and alone on the stage, but otherwise I'm having a wig change, a costume change, my shoes changed, having rotating characters, and it's great because it means that there's always something new, there's always something next to sort of, if you messed something up or got the wrong beat on the wrong line, then the next line is there, the next camera changes, the next costume change. It's a great experience to be inside.
When somebody is the real deal and a total genius, you want the world to know that, and the world did discover that with Sarah's work on Succession. But this is so totally different and exercises a whole host of skills and talents that people have never seen her do before. And to see over the past couple of weeks preview audiences just be jaw on the floor in response to that, and the work of the team around her and the show has just been incredible. And that you could not meet a kinder, more hardworking person than Sarah at the same time, as well as being incredibly talented. So it's amazing to see.
Broadway audiences are fabulous. They are ready to party. They want to come and laugh. They want to come and cry. I really enjoy a Broadway audience.
It's one of the most beloved musicals of all time, Gypsy, now open on Broadway. The revival, starring a dynamic cast, including Tony winners Audra McDonald and Danny Burstein, plus one of Broadway's great rising stars, Joy Woods. I caught up with Joy at the Skylark. Let's dive right into Gypsy first, because that has just gotten so much buzz and it's so exciting. And I know you're standing there along Audra McDonald every night. Talk to me a little bit about how this experience has been.
The last revival was what, 2008? I was 8.
Oh
so
my gosh!
Yeah, so anybody that is around my age was not, unless you were locked in with the theater world, we didn't know what Gypsy was unless we were educated in that way and in the arts in that way. We didn't know. So I think for the Gen Z of it all, getting to see a classical piece with legends, icons, and with, I don't know, I think it's done with a lot of care and a very smart and delicate way. And I think as long as we're trying new and inventive theater, it's nice to pay homage to the classics and hope to share that and the people of my generation get to feel that too.
What do you feel like the learning curve is in each one of these shows? Do you feel like you're always learning something?
Yes, and always learning something when that's the goal. Most of the time when I walk into a new show or a new piece or anything, I feel like there is, I'm either not ready for it or that there's something to learn. So I know that long after this year is over and long after I've left Gypsy, I'll still be waking up at 4 a.m. thinking, oh my God, I just learned that. I wish I could go do it. But it's always a learning process, and it's the best people to learn with.
Talk a little bit about Audra. I look at her and I look at the different roles that she has tackled and taken on and who she is as a person outside of the theater. Do you feel like working alongside her, that you learn different things? I mean, you're both, in different places. I'm just curious about that.
I think there will definitely be seasons and phases of different things that I learn. I think this chapter is learning about how to remain present. We had a conversation about that a few days ago, and just giving me a few tips on how to do this and know that you're telling someone's story and that you have to give that honor rather than whatever is going on up here or in your body if you're not feeling well or anything. And learning freedom, not only from Audra, but from Danny and Jordan as well. I've gotten to spend so much time with Jordan from doing The Notebook and playing the same person.
Yeah.
So getting to see who she is as a person outside of this, Allie, she's so free, she's so fearless, and so is Audra and Danny, and I learn so much, and sometimes it's more downloads than actually applying the things. So I've been doing a lot of watching and enjoying.
The downloads matter though,
Yeah.
because those are the ones that hit at 4 o'clock in the morning, right?
And those are the ones that you need patience for.
Broadway openings, well, they don't get any bigger than this. A new revival of David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross, now open on Broadway. The stars were out for opening night. If you're saying to yourself, I gotta see that show, head over to Broadway.com now to grab some tickets. This is a Broadway show, and we're back in just a few. Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club isn't just a show you watch, it's a show you fully experience, featuring amazing performances, incredible costumes, and an unbelievable set design. We're hanging out with the new stars of Cabaret on Broadway.
It's a great challenge. I think it's something that is a moving train. I would say it's a bullet train, and it's very much get on and feel your feet and you'll find your way. And I thankfully, we're not having to do this alone. We have each other, and we have this amazing cast and amazing creative team that has been very much arms wide open with who we'd like our characters to be, with us coming into the roles. And there's nothing better than having people being open and generous with that kind of space. And it's not coming from a place of critique or judgment. It's coming from a place of no, we want the collaboration creatively. And I think that's makes the process just a million times sweeter.
I think something Eva and I have in common is I think we are determined to bring something important to these roles. Yeah. And so I think, we're in the process still right now of just really fleshing out who these people are. And listen, it's two very complex characters, and some of the most complex characters in, I think, theater canon. And so it's a real challenge and thrill.
Make it work, now the fan is broken. Make it work, I'm running out of sweat.
Make It Work. It's Real Women Have Curves, the new musical based on the play that inspired the hit HBO movie.
Representation of something like this. When do you see this many brown women up there singing, dancing, and also just feeling, being able to show every part of themselves, bearing themselves. I'm so excited for a different audience. I'm used to a different audience, so I'm excited about this audience.
It's really just a story about the intersectionality of being a woman, being an immigrant, being a brown Latin woman. I think that it's so important to remember that we all have such different experiences and such different ways of living in our identity, no matter what your identity is. And I think that that's such at the core of this piece, and I think that it's a really, really beautiful and relatable story that everyone is going to love and really attach itself to. And I also just think it's really important right now in the time we're living in to uplift and shine a light on the story of immigrants.
For me, what the challenge has been and continues to be, how do I create choreography that feels like it's coming out of the characters, that is coming out of the circumstance, and that is not, you know, all of a sudden I'm watching dancers. Because I think that's what I want to be, for the audience to be able to understand and know and connect with, is that their movement is coming out of their emotion, out of their celebration. And it's sort of like I'm kind of tailor-making it to each one of them specifically, because there are also many, there are various body types and sizes. So I have to, so it's a real careful crafting of it.
I am from Mexico City. Joy, one of our composers, she's a pop star, you know, she's the biggest pop star in Mexico City. So I grew up listening to Joy. I would be in high school singing Espacio Sideral, and now to be singing her music here, or sometimes she's like, what do you think about this lyric? Do you like it? How do you feel? And I'm like, you're the star, whatever you want.
Stitch by stitch, day in, day out, you'll never blink, face every doubt.
Just to think that I'm gonna have a debut in a musical on the biggest stage that theater can offer, which is Broadway, is insane. I cannot believe I get to say it out loud. And it's just like, for me, I cannot wait for people to hear this story. As a family story, as a friend story, as a coming of age story, as a sisterhood story. I feel it's something that everyone can relate to. And I just love the fact that it's so joyful.
Welcome back to the Broadway Show. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get back to it.
We're going to tell you the amazing, true story of the dead outlaw, Elmer McCurdy.
Your mama's dead, your daddy's dead, your brother's dead, and so are you, and so are you. Woo!
Dead Outlaw comes to life on Broadway from the creators of the band's Visit. It's a true story of a Wild West outlaw whose life got way more interesting after he died. We got to know the stars.
It's wild, it's weird, but it's also tender and moving, and it's a very American story. It's a story about how we're here and we won't be here forever, and what matters and what we leave behind. So this story grabs you, and I think that's what probably first grabbed me reading that script. Was just like, wow.
It's such a funny thing to me because I'm up there, I sing 6 songs, I'm sweat down my back, I rip the stage apart, and then I go off stage and people are like, how'd you keep your eyes open for so long? I mean, there's a lot of tricks, like I soft focus my eyes, like those magic eye pictures you used to look at, or like, you know, mainly I just try to not think about the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing, because then that's like, then I'll start to panic, you know? But I just sort of create a roadmap. I'm like, all right, well, Jeb is gonna walk in front of me in 30 seconds, and then I can blink and I can swallow and I can, or somebody, you know, when they move the coffin across the stage, I can do little cheats and move here and there. But yeah, I'm just, you know, trying my best.
It's singular, this show. There truly is nothing like it, and to get to be a part of something like that is thrilling, and to tell this wild story is a gift. It feels like I feel very lucky to be a part of it.
It spans genres, it spans, you know, but the beautiful thing is that it's a story that happens over 100 years, right? And there are many genres that have occurred, and we're traveling around the country, and there are many, you know, there's a kind of diverse set of perspectives that we get to experience, and so it feels just kind of truthful. It doesn't shock you, it doesn't feel like you're making huge changes with every change of song. It all somehow remains cohesive, even while being a crazy, kooky sideshow.
He came into my life with his broken disposition. I had my suspicion he remained a mystery.
It's so strange, it's so unique, it's so singular, and you just kind of, it burrows in there and it's hard to get out.
And when you see the show and you go back and do that internet search, you're going to be shocked at how much we show on stage that actually happened You know, the fact that Jeb Brown, our brilliant band leader, continually steps out of the action and he reminds the audience, is like, you might not believe this really happened, but yeah, this is true.
That's all for now. I'll see you next time. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.